I've been with the organisation about 18 months now, so this is actually my third member convention that I've spoken at, so I'm delighted to be invited back. And I'm going to give you an update on kind of all of the activities of the organisation, from the finances through our various activities, including our commercial subsidiary. We did have our AGM yesterday, as many of you will know, and there are a few people in the room that were there, and I'll apologise to those that have seen some of these slides before. In terms of our financial performance, we're in an extremely strong place. We had a great year last year. We generated a surplus of about £2.5 million, which was the best financial result we've had for pretty much a decade. Our learning and development subsidiary grew by 36%, and all of that allowed us to add to our reserves. It's fair to say that our membership is fairly static, and we had a small decline during the year, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that as we go. So there aren't many organisations of our type. Ray talked about some of the challenges of being a professional body, but we're a professional body that's growing at a compound annual growth rate of 25% in terms of our revenues, and that's a really, really strong position for us to be in. And this shows the breakdown of where our revenues come from. And the mix has changed over the last few years. The green piece is the membership income, so thank you all for your subscriptions. And that's about just under 20% of our total income. But you can see the growth in the blue bar at the bottom, which comes from our professional certifications and our education products like ECDL. You can also see in the orange bit at the top how our education activities are really, really growing and have grown over the last few years. And I'll tell you a bit more about what we're doing in UK schools and beyond. So learning and development, you can see massive growth there, both in the certifications that we offer over the last 3 years, and particularly the ECDL product across UK schools in the red and green bars. And that's allowed the Learning and Development subsidiary to make essentially a profit. We call it a surplus as an organisation with charitable status. And that money is all gift aided back into the Institute to help us deploy our charitable activities. And our reserves are now at a healthy 10.3 million and have grown considerably over the last couple of years. And that financial success allows us to continue to invest in the sustainability of the organisation, in the activities that you do within the branches and specialist groups, and in updating all elements of our infrastructure. One of the big projects we've got going on this year is we're replacing 2 of our biggest IT systems in the organisation, 2 old legacy systems, and we're moving into the cloud with a brand new membership system that's in the process of going live, and also a new finance system. And they're really important because those are systems that you guys interact with on a regular basis. Going forward, we know we've got to do more to develop our website and our content management. It needs a thorough overhaul, and we're planning to get to that in the coming year. And also some of our infrastructure, our telephony, our video conferencing, particularly in the London office, is looking quite old and starting to play up, and we absolutely want to refresh that. In terms of membership, our retention is still really good. So 83% of our members return year after year and renew their membership, which is great. In the member survey, back in the autumn, we measured our engagement levels with our members for the first time. And we now have a baseline. It was a low baseline of 25% of our members were actively engaged with the organisation. But we've now got a baseline off which we can build. And I think the theme today and some of the things that we'll come on to talk about, you won't surprise you that they're in that area. Our Net Promoter Score, which is a score of whether you would recommend membership of our institute to a friend or colleague, has gone up by 16 points, which is a massive improvement, but again off a low base. So we still have a -8 score, and there's a long way to go now to get that into positive, but at least the trajectory is heading in the right direction. And we need to do more to communicate with our membership, to engage and get you involved in our new purpose and how you can help drive the societal outcomes that I think are desperately needed in our country. So there's the membership numbers. Pretty much flat over the last 6 years. We've had about 70,000 roughly members. There was a small decline between the previous year and the last of a couple of thousand. But we are still a material professional body. 70,000 members is a good place to be. We'd obviously like more. But more importantly, we want our members to be actively involved and engaged in all our activities. We bring members into the organisation via many routes, but recently we have been quite focused as well on bringing organisations and signing up organisations to work with us, and we call that organisational membership. We've got 62 of those organisational members now. They are household names, and it's a great opportunity not just to get the technology people in those organisations to come and join us as part of that, but also work at a strategic level with those organisations and to get them actively involved in all of our activities. It does provide some challenges. Many of those corporate clients are international, and therefore how do we serve their employees that are based overseas? Specsavers is a great example. There are 500 people that work in technology in Specsavers, and 100 of those are in Australia. So we needed to find a way that we could deliver events for those in Australia so that they could have a similar experience to the members in the UK. And we're working with the Australian Computer Society collaboratively to help us achieve that. So overall, we've got a balanced scorecard, as we call it, a bit of business speak for you, I'm afraid, but we absolutely want to measure how we engage and what job we do for you as members in terms of how satisfied you are and how engaged you are, as well as the quantity side, which is equally important. So just a bit of an update on our media activity. I'm glad to say our media profile is absolutely improving. We had more coverage in the last year than we did in the previous one. Our coverage in terms of quantity went up by 14%, and it went up also in quality. 50 is a kind of average score on this scale in terms of quality of ratings. And I'm also pleased to say that the vast majority of coverage about us is positive. So 76% of the items that are in the news and in the newspapers are net positive about us, and that's really good progress. And I think the work we've been doing around the strategy and the challenges that David will come on to talk a bit more about have really helped us concentrate our activities in terms of media on 3 or 4 key areas and give us a platform off which to speak. Perhaps even more pleasing from that is that we've kind of moved up the food chain in terms of the press. We've always been strong in the kind of IT and trade press, places like Computer Weekly, Computing. But what you'll see here, 9 articles in The Guardian, 8 articles in The Times. And more recently, we've also been doing more work with people like the Financial Times, Channel 4 and the BBC. So our media profile is improving, and I think that's a really, really important facet of us demonstrating our relevance to society as a whole. You've already heard about our strategy. I was here with David and Ray's predecessor pretty much a year ago on this platform, introducing it. And we continue to develop that strategy through our 3 pillars of community, excellence and leadership. And we've got 4 really, really important societal challenges that we're working on together. Education is the most mature of those, and I'll come on and tell you where we are with our education programs. But we're also welcoming the health informatics community into BCS and working with them on what a digitised health service will look like for the patients and the community of this country. We're putting the individual, or trying to put the individual in control of their personal data, big campaign running on personal data, and also recruitment and capability. We're still there to support the people in the industry develop the skills and capabilities that they need to be successful in their careers. We've been running all sorts of events to put the community very much at the heart of those challenges, and David will talk a lot more about that. We've built and piloted some new models, again, that you're going to hear more about soon. And the initial feedback we've got from running those is extremely positive, and those new formats and trying those new things has been very exciting for everybody involved. So I mentioned that our education activities are perhaps the most mature in terms of the 4 challenges. And we really are in a position of scale now, particularly with computing at schools. We have 21,000 registered users within the CAS network, and that continues to grow. Most of them are school teachers. And we've got 185 CAS hubs spread right across the country. And the outreach activities we do in schools really bring in a whole range of corporate organisations who are really, really keen to actively work with us to drive the computer science agenda forward. The biggest single element of CAS is the Network of Excellence. This is primarily funded by a grant we received from the DFE, the Department for Education. And we've now provided 56,000 instances of CPD for teachers in the country. And that's, considerably improving their ability and their confidence in teaching the new computer science curriculum to our children. We also continue to get charitable donations and grants from major organisations. There's another $500,000 that we've recently received from Google and Microsoft to continue to roll out our activities. And we're working with BT in Barefoot Computing. These are workshops that we run in primary schools, about 1,000 workshops being run so far. And they've now extended the contract there to do that for a further 2 years. And these engagements aren't just about funding from these companies. It's also about significant involvement. We've recently trained 300 BT people to help go out and run those programs in primary schools. So this is real corporate social responsibility. It's not just something that's written in the back of a company report to tick a checkbox. We're working with BBC on the Make It Digital campaign, and we've been working out how to use these microbit computers that are being given out to schools and helping schools with that endeavour. And what we've done here in terms of developing this curriculum and rolling it out across the UK is absolutely the envy of the world. I mean, Bill's not here today. He's in Australia talking to the Australian government next week, and he's in South America the week after that, telling the world what we've done here, because we're rightly very, very proud of what we've achieved, and we've had interest from South Korea to South Africa. The Register of IT Technicians was launched back in November. We've got 260 registrations already on there. This is a level of competency, a Sophia level 3, aimed at people like apprentices, not solely apprentices. And it's great that we're continuing to drive standards in the field of technology and computing. And we need to continue to develop our chartered offering as well, which hasn't had the take-up quite that we would have liked. In learning and development don't just provide income for us. They do provide an income and a profit, which is important for our activities, but actually they help us deliver against our Royal Charter. So over 100,000 people sat our professional exams in the last year, and our digital assessments in schools have included 1,000 learners in the last year. Those are real numbers of scale. And we're there to promulgate the understanding of computing and technology. And our learning and development and subsidiary actively help us do that, as well as putting us on a financial footing that allows us to continue to invest in our charitable purpose going forward. So just by way of summary, really, I think we've got a really sound financial footing now, and that's really, really important. Our commercial subsidiary is healthy and growing. And we're through the problems of a few years ago. We've got this great purpose of making IT good for society that we can all get behind in terms of all of the activities of our community. We've got the 4 evolving policy challenges, and there's a great opportunity coming up for you to get involved with those. And we're working really hard to remake that emotional connection that is really, really essential with our members for our ongoing success. So thanks very much.